Alright, so I'm going to delete the resonator chambers on the factory 2022 and newer Honda Civics. These have a resonator chamber down in here that bleeds off of the intake, and where this chamber comes in, goes down, there's another box in the bottom, there's two grommets, goes through that chamber and then back up and then into your actual air filter and into your intake. So, tools you're going to need: 10mm and some extensions because it's a deep bolt down there. 5.5mm. This is for the hose clamp on your intake right here. Then plugs. I made these. There's a person on YouTube that I got the idea from this from. NAUS, I believe is his YouTube channel. NOS, I'm not sure if that's how you say it or not. I made these. I measured. He told me one dimension. What I measured was different. I made it to what I measured. The hole tapers, so I made it deeper so it would actually lay down in the bottom of the hole, not sit in the taper somewhere. Black silicone, that's for siliconing these into the intake box in the bottom. This is aluminum foil tape, HVAC tape. Anybody that's seen it, you know what it is. This is for blocking off the resonator in here. There is no good way to make a block off for that without just taping over it. Alright, I will come back when we have the bolts out. The bolts are here. This rubber piece slides back out of the way. It's got a knob that goes into this groove. There's a 10mm there. There's 10mm there, and then one at the top. Two clamps here. Intake box slides off. You can leave your MAF plugged in, and the screw right here for your intake tube. I'll be back. Alright, we're back. So the 5mm bolt here, this clamp stays on your intake hose. Once you pull that off, unclip your intake airbox cover. Just pop these two clips, pull it out, flip it up. You don't have to unplug the MAF, you can just sit it right here on top of the battery. Pull your air filter out, pull out the three bolts, there, and there. Slide this out of the way, and the entire airbox pulls up with a little jimmying. As it's stuck, you can see there's no grommets on here. That is because the grommets stay down here. These have a groove to fit into that box, but they slide over these nice and tightly. So now what we're going to do is take these two machine plugs and we're just going to drop them in here. They fit nice and snug. They don't move. They are smaller in diameter than this bump for that to seal against. We're going to scuff up these surfaces, scuff up the surface in here, and we're going to use this black silicone to make a seal. We're going to fit these gaskets back in that box, put it back together. When we do that, you can see right here, this hole right here goes to that resonator chamber. We're going to take a piece of this HVAC tape, seal up that resonator chamber, put it back together, let the silicone dry, and come back. Alright, so I'm going to show y'all. We've got the resonator that's in the upper intake box right there. We have got that. You can kind of see it. That is sealed off now with the HVAC tape formed mostly to the side of the box as best I can. We have this surface scuffed we have this surface scuffed, and I've cleaned around it and vacuumed out of it to make sure that there's no material that gets sucked up into the intake. Now I'm going to take some of this black silicone, put a bead around here, and bead around here, stick them in there, let them cure overnight. We'll see how this turns out in the morning. Alright folks, we've got the plugs in, they're siliconed in place. We're going to let these tack for about an hour. Takes about 24 for them to fully cure. It is 5:34 right now. I don't have anywhere to be until about 8 o'clock. I'm going to let these cure until then. It's warm. I've been driving the car, drove it home. That's still too hot to want to hold, so they should tack fairly quick because it's warm in here. This box, it's just a pocket of air, so I'm sure it's warm enough. If anybody's interested in these plugs at some point, let me know. I'll see about possibly making some more of them. Alright. Upper intake box is back in. You can see the foil there. And I'll pull my flashlight out real quick and you can see the plug right down there. There's still airflow across here. Air comes in here, goes down, and now where it normally would bleed off into that resonator chamber and into this resonator chamber, it's just going to come straight across, hit that little diverter or the side of the box, come straight up through your intake, through the top hat, into the intake, and hopefully make better intake noises. All we've got to do now, reinstall your 3 10mm bolts. One right down here that I may need 2 hands for. Nope, I got it. Well, you get the gist. It goes right there. One right there that I can do with one hand. And one right back here that's laying on the truck. Then you slide this back in, pop that back into your intake tube, stick your filter back in, clip your intake down, tighten that bolt, and you're done. You may want to use a magnet for this one so you don't drop it. I obviously didn't. I quit before I did. But it is possible to drop it, and then it'll just be sitting down in the tray down there. Alright, well, I will let y'all know once we get intake noises going. Alright, intake's back together. We're still waiting on that to cure. As you can see, I bought a whole roll of the HVAC tape and of the silicone tube. So, as you can tell, you don't need a tube this big. You'll have plenty. You really only need, like, I would say probably 2 feet of this just to be safe, because it is really sticky, and if you don't line it up right, you've got to take it off, and it's a pain to deal with. So as far as, say, $12 in shop material that I still have a good bit of, along with the time it took me to pull this the first time, measure those holes, design and make those 2 plugs, I'd say for $20 worth of time and effort, at least as far as this goes, the machine work aside, because I did make it out of aluminum with access to a machine shop. We'll see how well this goes. I think it was worth the time and effort just to mess with it. If it does good, it does good. If not, it's not the end of the world to spend $100, $150 to upgrade to an aftermarket intake. But being able to modify the factory one, if it does good, somebody might be interested in doing this. I will come back when I have sound clips after this cures.